everyone. And we're back after a very long time. I actually have the exact date. Um, April 28th, ironically, is my wife's birthday. 2016 is the last time the Sweeney and Ko podcast um, it was recorded and released to the public. It's been a long, almost 4 years. There's a lot that's been happened, and I guess
we had kids and wives, so it's been
yeah,
it's been a very long 4 years.
exactly. So basically, looking at the date, I could tell you what it in my life. Lucas was just born. Was dealing with that. I was traveling. all the
Dealing
time.
with that,
Yeah.
it wasn't. It was in a happy time. It's just
Yeah.
I was dealing with that situation.
Yeah. I was in Olympia. You were in Spokane. I was traveling a lot. And at the old times, I don't know if a lot of people realize this, but we would literally like go to my house, go to your house, meet up, record on like a freaking iPhone. The sound quality, people probably do
on
believe that.
on a voice note.
Yeah, on a voice note.
On the iPhone, and then credit to Sean Co. putting it on Stitcher and iTunes and whatever.
Yeah.
And also credit to whoever's wife had to deal with us yelling in some. At the time, I was in an apartment. Now I have a house, but like we were yelling from the guest room.
Yeah. And the one other thing to finish up on the last one, the tag note said M's through April. So in 16, I didn't listen to it, but I'm pretty sure we came out to an absolute fire start and just pissed it away.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure that was the year that like
that's one game. We missed by one game.
Yeah, but that's got to be the season we signed Haniger, right? Or we traded for Haniger, and then we literally just were like started the April like 20-4 or whatever the hell it was. And then the other one was Seahawks mock draft, which I'm sure was just electric. I'd be more interested.
Malik.
That is
that was the guy? That was the ATV, wasn't it? That's our first round. Malik McDowell. Malik McDowell, I'll bet.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, I actually thought about this.
Hey, you look the same, by the way.
I know, you too.
You look better.
I guess we should also mention I had a new job. I was the new kid, traveling all the time. You're recovering from your like 6th or 7th cancer treatment. It's just like, I mean, honestly.
No, the cancer's done. These were brain surgeries.
Surgeries.
Different.
Yeah.
Different from the cancer. Yeah.
So people that don't know,
tumor.
Where do we stand with this stuff?
Oh man. So in that time I've had 3 brain surgeries, but the third one was the charm. And
there you go.
They got it all this time. So it's great. I also have twin boys that are 2.5. Sean and Griffey, no surprise there with the names, but and working at Gonzaga Athletics Department.
And I don't think
Learfield IMG.
Yeah, you were still doing insurance probably at the
commercial
time, right?
insurance. Yeah, with Payne West.
Yeah,
who's now a client of mine, and they're still the best.
There you go. Yeah, they're a big company. Speaking of your stepdad, I would always see him at the Spokane Club just hammering it out.
You're at the Spokane Club?
I was, and then this was we quit about.
Sean Co's doing well.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I was so well. I got the hell out of there because as soon as I saw your stepdad going to the sauna, I just said, "Get the hell out of here." I don't know. I don't know if you've been.
I would quit. I would quit too.
I don't know if you've been to the Spokane Club sauna, but you got to ask your stepdad. It is.
I used to go there as a kid. I was terrified just to be in the locker room, just to have the one leg on the bench, dude. And you know what that means?
Blow drying his junk.
Oh, jeez, Louise,
outrageous! It's one of the craziest things. We before we started recording, we were talking difference of how people are handling this coronavirus and generations and stuff. That generation of the Spokane Club loves walking around with their dick out. Just fucking doing whatever they want in the locker room. It's outrageous. It's outrageous.
As their fathers and grandfathers before them.
Yeah, they're like.
I remember times at the Spokane Club when it was dragging behind the walker. if you know what I mean.
Oh God, there's a couple guys. Like one, I tell this horror story of like basically the Spokane Club has got the sauna and it's got like a walkway and it's got couple of sinks like that you would find in a hotel on the left. Like there's only two or three, and then on the right there's like four or five of them. But then you get to the end and there's the urinals and the toilets and all that stuff. And there's a back entrance to get to the gym or to the up into the conditioning room. And every time I would come in the back entrance, you get automatically go right into this hall and you look down the hallway to the guy showering and the sauna. And there's a wooden bench there for whatever reason. And homeboy gets in this sauna for 20, 30 minutes. Then he gets showered off and he goes, sits on this bench and he just is like, looks like he's ran like a marathon. He's just like, oh God, I'm so exhausted. And his balls were just hanging from like this wasn't the silhouette, like literally his balls were just like hanging out there.
Hanging down with his walker.
Yeah.
Which I remember that back entrance back in the day, those stairs, that's the way to get to the hot tub.
Yeah, which they don't
back when they haven't had it for 10, 15 years.
No, it's
that's how far I go back there.
Yeah. So anyway,
but I haven't been there since then. Anyway.
Well, I wouldn't recommend it. Actually,
enough about the old guys at the Spokane Club.
There's it's plenty of really good people at the Spokane Club. Just my wife wanted to do Orange Theory, and I didn't really care where I worked out. But anyway, so getting back to this whole coronavirus, I mean, it's crazy because we're just kind of just sitting in our houses, watching kids, working. I have the luxury of working from home, so it really hasn't changed my day-to-day stuff, minus my kids are just running around watching Frozen 2 for the 30th time. And Catherine has been able to work at home. And so I don't know, you're obviously at home. Because of the coronavirus, you should have been, or I should say you should have been really busy, but because of this, you're probably got nothing to do, huh?
Yeah,
Tell people what you do, by the way.
So I work for Learfield IMG in the Gonzaga Athletics Department. So handle all the corporate marketing for the Zags with a team of 4 people, 3 other people besides myself. And it's great. Super happy there. And just kind of, we do whatever lights up in the stadium, corporate sponsors on television, radio. So, I mean,
your coworkers with Tom Hudson and Adam Morrison, huh?
Those guys too, yeah. They're
paid by Learfield.
They're
right?
kind of part. They are. They're part time. There's 4 of us full time. Mark, Tate, and Cassidy. They're the best. And then Mo and Huddy are great, crushing it. And I mean, I'll preface this by saying I take this as seriously as anybody else. Like, health problems, 2-year-old kids, and.
Yeah.
And I have a 96-year-old grandmother in Seattle at a nursing home. I have a 80-something-year-old grandmother here down the street. And so I don't want them to get it and stuff.
Yeah.
And so we're self-isolating. And like you, I'm fortunate to work from home. But, I just want to preface with that because we're going to talk sports and in light of all this stuff. And that's why we're doing this. And we haven't done it for years, but we're stuck at home and Sweeney and Ko's back. So I just want to say that. But then to preface that, it sucked big time for us. Like, we were very disappointed. The Zags were, and people that have ever listened to this before know I went to Gonzaga. And so I was a big fan before I even worked there. But, it was super disappointing. It's more disappointing as a fan of the NCAA tournament. I mean, everybody in the nation can relate to that.
I mean, it's bigger than Christmas, the reality.
It is. It's the best day of the year. Thursday and Friday is the best day of the year.
Absolutely.
And then you can make an argument Saturday, Sunday's even better because it's just as many games that are televised, but better games.
Yeah.
But it was a bummer. Like, for me, I want nothing more than a Gonzaga national championship. We had a shot. I'm sad that we lost to BYU and we weren't number 1 at the end.
Yeah.
But when we lost to BYU, it was the same in 2015. I thought it was great for us to have the loss, but who would have known this would happen? But
Yeah, it's sad. I mean, I don't really care about the Zags. They obviously had probably the deepest team in the country.
Well, but hey, Sean, the Cougs had won their first game in the Pac-12 tournament.
They're actually won the national championship because they were the last team to play college basketball game, and they won.
I know you were invested as I was.
Well, I mean, like you said, it's like I'm not the biggest Zags fan. But I gotta say, it's like when they get to the tournament, they make the whole city of Spokane 10 times more better. That's like everybody wants to go out and have a good time. That's if anybody knows me, they know Sean likes to have a good time and go party. And it's like no excuses. Zags game. It's let's go to the bars, PI's electric.
Yeah, especially in your hometown in Shanko, we would have had Zags at the arena, men's, and then women, and then women at the McCarthy Center. So because they would have hosted. So
I love the Oregon girls team because of Kelly, one of the greatest guys ever. I know you have a pretty close relationship with that guy.
Yeah.
But he and not to mention that, like talking all sports, but that Sabrina, like that's one of the biggest travesties of this whole thing. Well, I shouldn't say that. But
no, it is. I mean, I think that's appropriate.
She needed to win a national.
Yeah. No, go ahead, Sean.
I was going to say she needed to win a national championship. That would have been a great storyline. Been the best player for 2 years. She's not a Tennessee, a UConn story that you hear about. It's finally a West Coast female product. You know, Stanford's been really good, but they've never had a star like Sabrina, and Kelly's just an awesome guy. It's just really sad.
And to give up. Well, it's funny you mentioned Sabrina, and I'd like to say something else about that. It's funny. I love Killian Tilly because he's just one of the best guys that has come through our program.
Yeah.
And
been
great player, been through a lot, injuries, and just a phenomenal guy. And somebody came into my office, when this was all getting shut down. I was like, oh man, what a bummer for Killian. And I'm like, yeah, man, it's a huge bummer. And as we're talking about it, I'm like, you know what? You know who it's probably the biggest bummer for in America? Sabrina Ionescu.
Yeah.
I was like, even more than, and I love Killian, but like this girl could have been the number one pick and came back for a national title. But you know what? Like, and we're going to, I'll say it one more time and that's it for the rest of the show. There's greater things going on and greater tragedies. And we know that, and we're in touch with that. But like so we can talk about this stuff because we all want some levity here. Yeah, what a big bummer, man. It would have been great to see her ball as well as Killian and the Zags. But it's like you said from the start, it's the worst is just for everybody that likes to call in sick on Thursday and Friday and watch those games. I mean, that's the best. And Spokane getting robbed. And also, you know what? The worst thing, Spokane getting robbed of Sweeney and Ko out on the town. That's the worst tragedy.
It's a shame. I should be hammered right now.
Oh, that's right.
It's the day.
Today's the day. Oh man. Oh my gosh.
The actual thing, I should be in Vegas. The last 2 years I was in Vegas. I wasn't going to go this year because next week I was supposed to be in St. Louis for the whole week for some work stuff. It got canceled. And then I was like, I was like, okay, I'm in, I'm going to go. And then basically it got canceled. So, but like the last 2 years I've been in Vegas for Thursday, Friday, Saturday, left Sunday. It's been awesome. Highly recommended. It's
even back at the podcast, you were doing that when we were doing it back in the day.
Yeah. And actually it's funny on some of these topics, we're going to try to keep it to our kind of shorter, but I even put down like the Washington legalizing betting. So it's funny theoretically that next year, hopefully everything with the coronavirus works out, but it's like we could be going to Northern Quest and laying down some action next year. So, which is kind of cool.
I wish we'd be going to the game. That's the only thing.
Yeah. It's tough for you.
Spokane. Well, for me, it's really not, man. I feel really bad for the people of Spokane because it's so hard to get a ticket to the kennel.
I know.
Now, I'm there, but I'm also working. I'll say this, something that's changed with my job, and it's
You actually have to work.
there's give or take. Yeah, I got to work during the game. So the home games I'm not watching like I used to, and I won't have the insight that I did in the past because I'm really running around, which is one of the gives. But for Spokane to go see their team and get a ticket that they usually can't get, that's the big travesty, big time.
Yeah,
And it's for the people of Spokane that never get to go to a Gonzaga game.
Yeah, and I actually knew 3 guys that are, I think actually all 4 of them are GU, but one of them, Ben Stein, and my buddy Jordan, and then a couple other guys from GU. Jordan had actually won Masters practice round tickets, and they kind of had everything worked out that they were going to fly into Atlanta, golf, and then they were going to be in Atlanta for Saturday for the first Final Four game, and then they were going to be around on Sunday in Atlanta. On Monday, drive in, do the Masters thing, watch it, get your swag, see the stuff, come back, drive into Atlanta, which is about a 2-hour drive, and then watch the Final Four. And they were kind of hedging their bets, but the reality, is a very good chance that the Zags were going to make it to the Final Four, and like that whole thing would have been like a perfect storm. Going see the Zags.
West region, 2. San Diego State is your 2. You're playing in LA. Yeah. And you know what, for your buddies too, and this goes back to just everybody kind of, being a bummer for this, is even if the Zags don't make it, they're going to the Final Four.
Yeah.
It's the best. It's the best.
Yeah. And that's kind of what they said too. They're like, oh, it's the Final Four. I mean, the Zags have a really good chance.
It's amazing, Sean? Where USA Today came out with their way too early.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Number 1 Zags. This was supposed to be a rebuilding year for us. And we talked about just within the office, and my buddy Tate, who works colleague in the same office as I do, is a Zag as well. So we get into it pretty good. We're like, it's always going to be the team that, and even my coworker Matt from Oregon before this said the same thing. It's always going to be the Zag team that you don't think that wins the title. And this was turning out to kind of be that. It was supposed to be a rebuilding year. You lose Rui, Perk, Brandon Clark. It was a
Norvell.
Snacks. 86%, I think, of your scoring in the starting line, or of your total scoring. But so it was a bummer. It was like, it was kind of one of those years where you keep thinking they're not going to keep doing it, but they kept doing it.
Yeah. No.
But you know what, dude? It's nice to be number 1 next year.
Yeah. So let me ask you a question, because this, believe it or not, has happened a couple times. Like in World War II, they did this.
But are you trying to just show off your hair? Because now we're video.
Dude,
we've never been video on this podcast before. Look at that.
I know, but what's wild is the part of the social distancing.
Too.
Yeah, you can't go to the barber, which is wild, right?
I don't know. I don't know.
You wouldn't know.
I can't relate to that.
But anyway, no, I was going to ask you, did they say what they're going to do with the national championship? Because they don't just leave them vacant. They got to name. Are they going to do a co-national, or are they going to give it to Kansas? What are they going to do?
I don't know. I read an article on ESPN, which everybody else probably has by this time.
Well, let's talk about
Kansas was like, hey, yeah, we'll take the national title.
Obviously, I mean,
and I'm like, God dang it, we're gonna get second again, and then it goes back. So this is what the podcast is for. I haven't wanted to get into this at all, even in my own self and thinking, but because it makes me so upset. You don't lose that game to BYU. We're pining to crown the national champion as us.
Yeah.
We're pining for that, even though I thought at the time BYU was a good loss for us.
Yeah.
It will inspire us in the tournament. And it's funny, too. A lot of people thought we would play BYU. I was very vocal that we would play St. Mary's in the final because I knew they would need it for the tournament more than BYU, and they're on par with them.
Yeah.
BYU was in as a 4 or 5 seed. Who cares?
Yeah.
St. Mary's is probably in 2, but they just I kind of had a feeling, and they just always beat BYU. That's what St. Mary's does.
Yeah.
And we always beat St. Mary's, and that's what we do. And
But
BYU beats us sometimes. But
but moving on, like, what do you think they're going to do with the national championship?
I think they're probably going to give it to Kansas.
Because
it's so upsetting. Of course.
But what happens, like, because theoretically, you know, that's kind of the running joke over in Seattle. Anytime Softy from KJR, I'm sure most of the people listening to this would know who he is. They'll dig at UW, calling it a half a national championship. And
what, 91?
Yeah, because
that's a national championship.
But let me finish. It's because the reason it's a half of one or whatever theoretically.
Miami, yeah.
Well, but no, but it's like one, like with the coaching poll said Miami, the AP said UW. So isn't there a chance that like that was just one poll that had Kansas as number
coaches
one?
Will have Kansas number one.
You think so?
Yeah.
Because
that's what's a shame.
Yeah, I don't know.
I pray that they don't.
But you really want to hang a banner that way?
No, but I don't want Kansas to hang a banner and us to be number 2.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Kansas is going to hang it. Do you?
If they do, then we should hang a national runner-up banner.
Well, they already did.
I know. Well, we did for 2015. We should do it again for
they put
18.
Final Four. They put national runner-up banner in the kennel. Don't try to act like they don't do that.
No, I think that's great. I'm saying if Kansas gets it, we should put another one. And in number 2, you know, and then everybody knows.
So what would happen? So what would, like, say this all chills out in the NCAA tournament or whoever, and they're like, it's official, we're going to name Kansas and Gonzaga co-national championships. Are you hanging that
Absolutely.
It's outrageous. I mean, I think you got to do it.
Come on, Sean. You got to do it.
You got to do it.
You know why? Do you know why? I know. Okay, listen. I know this. Chances were they weren't going to win the national title. Also, chances were Kansas wasn't. And guess what? This year, I think even more than ever, somebody a 3-seater below would have won it, or something.
No, I agree.
But that being said, Gonzaga has as good a chance as anybody.
No, I hear you.
And if that happens, you almost have to do it for your guys that put in the work, your coaches that put in the work, staff, whatever. Like, it's you recognize it because there is no finality. So they didn't. The chance for them to be national championships or national champions was never given to them. So you got to hang it. I say that'd be my thing. Now I am also separate from Gonzaga. That's something that will be decided by them and whatever, if that ever happens. I'm with Learfield IMG, so I have zero say in that to preface. But as a fan and alumni, I would say hang it up.
I think you got to do it.
National runner-up.
Yeah.
Especially with a team that was a rebuilding year and people wonder if they make the tournament. I did.
Yeah.
I said we'd lose 3 games.
Yeah. Anyway, let's move on. The Zags. We'll have more to talk about this.
Let's talk about the Cougs. Let's go.
Well, actually, I had some notes on some stuff that I want to talk about. But since this is I think it's going to be a little bit shorter because I didn't want it to basically go that too long while I'm working through the kinks. But I put the Zags down. I do want to talk about the new Cougs football and basketball coach. But we can save that for a little bit. The M's, who knows? There's a lot to talk with the M's, but
M's are delayed. We'll do that. We'll delay them.
Yeah,
we're gonna have lots of shows. But
so today I think what I wanted to talk about is Hawks. So far, really, that's all you can really talk about.
I want to talk to Coug basketball before we move on to that.
Okay.
Because we're on the topic. Because let's do it. I want to hear your thoughts. I'll just preface by saying I'm a big fan.
Yeah. I love him so far. I mean, he proves one of those guys where he kind of has a plan every game that he goes into and how to shut teams down. He plays really strong. It's wild to think that he got that many wins and got some big time Pac-12 wins with that roster. I mean, he's got CJ Ellerby, who's, could go in the first round of the NBA draft, and then a couple of the guys that,
Two of them.
probably won't even. They'll struggle to make European teams. But what's wild is he was this successful and he lost what does San Diego State play in? The Mountain West Player of the Year, and actually the
was hard.
the WAC Cal Baptist, one of the players that played for we had 2 players of the year from Cougs last year on other teams just because of Ernie.
Right,
which Ernie was just such a bad coach.
Right, and I didn't hate that hire, nor did you. I don't think.
Who?
Ernie.
Yeah, at the time I thought.
At the time, but it didn't turn out well, and that's fine. But I think he's done a great job, and I would say it's one of those like with Malachi. Oh, don't you wish you were playing with Kyle? Well, Malachi went played for a top 5 team in the country, so he got his, and I'm happy for him.
Yeah,
I'm really happy for him. But I think Kyle's done a great job, and I remember they, not to say they beat us, but God darn it, they did, and gave us some tough games with much lesser athletes.
Well, I remember that guy that played for him last year, that Frankie Ferrari, absolute electric name, great player. But yeah, that's it's funny because I was actually talking to
Ferrari's not electric. That's a Tesla.
No, there you go. But I was talking to my brother-in-law about how Tommy and Mark have kind of had this blueprint of, and you can chime in when I'm done, but this is kind of my take on it, that the way college basketball and these programs like UW with Hopkins and other players, it's like they mess around with this AAU circuit and these big time recruits, and they play that game. And Mark and Tommy, they're doing a lot more now, but before they're like, we're not going to mess with this. We're going to go after kids that nobody's really recruiting and kind of just develop them. And it's just worked. And then you saw that St. Mary started doing that, and Kyle Smith started doing that with these overseas. And then he goes to WSU, and his recruits this year are all really intriguing, but they're all out of like national team. They're all national team players, but like 2 are from Canada, one's from someplace in Africa. And it's interesting that what Mark and Tommy have kind of developed in the West Coast Conference, and St. Mary's and San Francisco, they both continue to do it, just develop these international pipelines. And they're just like, well, dude, it's a lot easier than, we whining and dining these AAU coaches just for their kids to dangle them out there. And you look like Hop at UW. You got 2 of the best players in the whole nation this year, and 3 of the top 50.
Yeah,
and
they were great.
They were good, game. But he has no recruits next year. It's wild. Yeah. So anyway, add your point.
Oh no, it's echoing yours. It's all about, it's like any industry in sports and outside of that. You have to find your niche. And for us, it's changing. Now we can recruit some kids, high level kids that are in America.
Yeah.
But like St. Mary's and Kyle Smith, like you were saying, like St. Mary's we found that European pipeline. Well, St. Mary's found that Australian pipeline.
Mm-hmm.
And you find your niche and you do it and you recruit. And I just, my hat's off to Kyle going to a Pac-12 school, and you don't have your guys, your niche, your pipeline, but took a team I was very impressed, man, because it's not just about the wins and losses, which was good. That was good.
Yeah.
Like the wins and losses were good.
Yeah.
And UW finished last. That's crazy. When we beat them in Seattle, which I went to that game, they were top 25 at the time and a damn good team. And they're at the bottom. And they're at the bottom of the Pac-12. And Pac-12 is good basketball. And Cougs won some games. But I thought what was more impressive to me about Kyle Smith, and I don't know a ton about, but from what I watched, and I'll kind of end on this, but Kyle, I was so impressed with the games that were away that they lost. Yeah. Like Ernie used to go get destroyed like he lost some games, but he lost some good games at some good places and close, and was coaching till the end. And, you wonder when this guy, of course, is probably a stepping stone, which we can talk about Leach later. We haven't even gotten into that, which is always been our favorite guy, both of us. Like we'll do a whole episode probably on that.
Yeah.
And we should. But
We will.
I am very
Rolo Nation is here.
Well, I like Rolo too, but I just want to say I think Kyle Smith has done a great job. And
I agree.
Evidence just by the body of work, man. He's won games and was close, and Kook basketball is kind of back a little bit.
I think it's the biggest thing about Kyle Smith, the biggest takeaway, and we'll be done with this, is the students just stopped going to games when Ernie was there. And whatever it was, the home cooking, not having to travel, whatever it was, like the Clay game was insane.
Yeah. Did you go to that?
No, I had another commitment.
Man.
I know, I was bummed out. But the UW, the Apple Cup, both Apple Cup games were awesome. But it's like fans started going where they hadn't been going the last 4 or 5 years. So I'm just glad it's just like Leach, have an exciting offense. You're not going to win all the time, but you're not going to lose all the time. You put butts in the seats. That's all you can ask for Kyle before, like you said, he most
all you can ask for as a college student.
Yeah,
while you're going to the game. Just put me in just be in the game.
Okay, so that'll kind of wrap up that, and so let's talk about probably what's
it's just like old times.
We just keep going.
Moving me on to I never want to move on to the next topic. You're the best.
They're going to be. This is why we could never go national, because some big time producer's going to want to.
Oh God!
They're going to want to script, have flow, and we don't need it. It just rolls off the tongue.
We
butts in the seats.
And towards the end, we actually got a little. We would have a talk sheet, some minutes. We have none of that tonight.
No,
we're hopping back for the first time.
We're hopping back in, baby.
In 4 years, baby.
Yeah.
Boom.
Anyway, all right. So let's go. So we're starting with Hawks off season.
Lot going on.
Well, before we go this.
NFL off season, holy shit!
That was the first topic I want to talk to you about. Is I want to get your opinion that with everything that's going on, what's your opinion on the NFL continuing with free agency? Like, I understand it needs to happen, but it's like your Twitter timeline just says,
I love it.
Just a second, like the Twitter timelines are like, 100 deaths approaching in Washington. Coronavirus, 15,000 more today. Calvin Benjamin signs for $40 million. Blah, blah, blah. People are going to lose their jobs. The economy's going to crash. Blah, blah, blah. Just signed 100 guaranteed. Like, do you think they should have waited like maybe till 1st of April, or what's your opinion?
So my opinion, first off, would be this, and just outside of sports, if you can continue what you're doing professionally, do it.
Yeah.
Because that keeps our economy going. And I'm big for that. Like,
yeah,
especially more down to everybody. Like, I'm a big foodie guy, restaurant guy, and a lot of friends in that business. Yeah. Do what you can to keep open. Now, also, that's what they're doing. But also, if you're holed up and you're a GM in your house, make some moves. What else are you going to do? You're not watching anything. If you were a GM, Sean, this is what we talk about all the time. Wouldn't you be texting guys like, hey, that's why I think there's so much action. It's fun for us. I think it's great.
No, it's probably – well, and I think, too, instead of, like, hosting these people and bringing them in and whining and dining them, they're literally just sitting at the computer looking, I think, at cap numbers and cap contracts. I'm like, well, if we do it at this
– teammates.
So, yeah, I mean, it's – like I said, the one thing I told my wife that I kind of wish that they would have done the tournament without fans, did the right thing, test all the kids, private flights, quarantined hotels, whatever. Just because, like, can you imagine, like, if the tournament was today, just gives us something to root for, look forward to, a good storyline, like, when that 15 seed beats the 2 seed, and you're just like, this is something we need to distract us from life.
Right.
And
Once an NBA guy, I'm with you. When they when they suspended the NBA season, I was very upset and very critical, and still stay this way now. Now it's always 2020, but canceling the NCAA tournament right after everybody else just suspended everything, I think was BS. The NCAA dropped the ball. They dropped it, and they continue to drop the ball. That's what they do. The best was, too, everybody was criticizing them so hard for not making an announcement that they went to a hard stop instead of just – when the NBA suspended play, they should have an hour later just done that or whatever.
Yeah, I know.
Now that being said, now I don't think the tournament would have gone off.
No.
Because there's too many people now with the disease and whatever.
Yeah.
But, for me personally, it's egg on their face back then.
Yeah. No, it's
because you can always defer and then just wait. And I know it costs you money, but at the time it was an emotional decision for all the seniors, or whatever. But
yeah, I think it's one of those things where there's not a script for this. You don't really
there's not, but the
plan
NFL,
about this.
the NFL, the NBA, the MLB tend to do the right thing always.
Yeah.
And the NCAA never does.
Yeah.
And this was kind of one of those where why don't you just do what they do?
Yeah.
So I'm glad you brought that up because I was also upset about that at the time. Now I know it's a done deal, but
yeah. But yeah, so this free agency, NFL free agency is honestly just like almost godsend because it's just you get updates of this between just a kick in the nuts for 2 hours a day. And then it's just like, oh, yeah, the Seahawks signed some players and so on and so on. But
Bruce Irvin.
Yeah, so that's – okay, so let's talk about this.
And Jadeveon is going to be a Seahawk.
Okay, well, that's not confirmed. We're not
you heard it here.
We're not fake news over here. But anyway, so let's –
You heard it here.
Yeah. Before any of the craziness to happen, we actually signed Greg Olson. I
didn't love that.
Really, that's something to debate on because I felt that we needed to go pick up some guy that is a veteran that we don't really need to because obviously what's the kid from UW's name? He always gets hurt. Will the tight end. God damn it.
No.
Will
no, it's not Will.
Yes, it is. Will Dissly.
Yeah.
God, you idiot. Will Dissly, like again, I know he continues to hurt, but he's like he needs to be the number one tight end.
He's a top 10 tight end when healthy.
Yeah, we need to kind of still. Russell loves him. He's a great blocker. He's everything that we need. So we need to keep developing him, but we needed a security blanket, some guy that we don't need to play all the time, but God forbid he gets hurt.
Jacob Hollister.
Yeah, but I love Jacob.
That's the answer to your question.
I don't know, man.
Greg Olson. Oh man, I hate to say that. That's my first F-bomb on the podcast ever, I think. But Greg Olson had that much money, who gets injured all the time.
Yeah.
And that's who we're bringing in. And like, I think we have needs elsewhere. I think there's better. Jimmy Graham got paid less than him.
No, he didn't.
He got $8 million a year.
No, I'll look it up. I got the numbers right here. Olsen got 1 year, $7 million. And then let's go to the Bears. Jimmy Graham, he got
2 years, 16.
Yeah, but how much is guaranteed?
So a million more than Greg Olson. Well, I'd rather have Jimmy Graham for $1 million more than. Let me ask you this. Would you rather have Greg Olson for 7 or Jimmy for 8?
I would rather have Greg Olson. I love Greg Olson because he's at least blocking. I loved Jimmy Graham when he was here, but I got to tell you, man, the whole the Rams would just blitz right up his ass every time he went in because he knew he couldn't block. It got so irritating. His blocking is so bad, and I just feel like he never was that good of a fit for us. So he got
just put
$9
it.
million guaranteed. So basically, got $2 million more because they can cut
I
him or
could be
whatever.
wrong, but he was best friends with Russell.
He was, yeah.
He led our team in touchdowns. He was in his wedding. Yeah, he's a groomsman.
Yeah,
He led our team in touchdowns. He's healthier than Greg Olsen. He's younger than Greg Olsen. Greg Olsen can't block worth a shit anyway.
He's better than Graham.
I disagree.
Let's get PFF blocking stats tight end. No, I'm not going to do that.
Well, no, that's not what matters. But yeah, but I don't love the Greg Olsen signing.
Well, I love it. So we'll see how that one plays out. So
and I'm not. By the way, I'm not advocating signing Jimmy Graham either.
No. I
signed Jacob Hollister.
So we've given him a second round tender, which nobody's going to sign that guy for.
No.
Giving up a second round pick for him. So he will definitely come back. We signed a trio of offensive linemen. So BJ Finney, he played for the Steelers. He's kind of like a Swiss Army knife. He apparently can play center, both guard positions, and then right tackle. He's played in the NFL. He basically just can't do the cornerstone left.
We lost Fant.
Yep.
We're losing a Fetty.
Yeah. So we're gaining a lot.
We're losing. I agree with that. We're losing Yapati, maybe.
I don't.
I hope he is.
I thought he signed a 2-year deal, but you're probably right.
I think there's an option, but so we have some work to do.
Yeah,
we're patchworking again for Russell.
Yeah. Well, we've got and then who knows with Justin Britt coming off that ACL, what he's going to be like.
You can't count on him.
And Pete's love affair with some of these fucking garbage truck guys like the center from TCU. Joey Hunt. It's like gets these. I know, but he's got such a love affair with guys like that, like Tedrick Thompson, another guy that he just loves these guys. But anyway, You know why though, and I'll put my trust in Pete. Do you want a Super Bowl? It's what they're doing in practice. It's what they're doing on the. There's a reason for that. Yeah, and so. Do
you want to sign Jadeveon?
Yeah, we're gonna get to that. Let's talk about the offensive lineman first. So
nobody gives a fuck about these guys.
Yeah, well, they should, because the guy that we got from we signed the tackle from the Jets looks pretty good. Could start at right tackle. Next year.
He'll take a Fetty spot.
Yeah, and then we also signed Cedric Obushi, was a first-round pick by the Bengals. He played for the Jags last year, which they didn't have that great of a line. And this is kind of a Deion Jordan, a Luke Luke Jokel type. He's like, high-round talent. Maybe he got drafted by a bad team. See if I can resurrect him. Because from everything that I saw, this Cedric Obushi got all the talent. But I think he's had some bad coaching.
Yeah, he was a 2015 first rounder.
Yeah, but he hasn't been. It's not like he has had a terrible. It's not an injury thing, like with.
Isn't that worse though?
I mean, is it though? Like you look at
even good players through bad coaching know how to get.
I mean, I gotta tell you, like, what about the Seahawks guys that. The Solari, the offensive line coach, man, he's like the real deal. Like he's taken a couple of these guys, and I just believe in. Like we kept having injuries after injuries after injuries last year with the Seahawks. We never really stopped running the ball until the starter and running backs went out. Then we had those guys, but our offensive line was good at running the ball all year round.
That's a great point.
Even when Britt went out, Iapati missed a couple of games. Who's the right guard, the big tall guy, played at Alabama. Just a second. But anyway, he missed a couple of games, and we've had a bunch of guys just kind of fill in. And I think with Pete and Solari, they're literally just like, let's get as much talent uh, on the roster and let Solari kind of mold them. And frankly, from everything that I'm seeing, they paid all three of these guys were cheaper than what which is wild. Like I love Fant. I love his story.
No, let him go. Let him go.
For that much money, yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. And I love this about them. They're compete. What does Pete say? Compete. Bring them in. It's about bodies. Yeah. Bring in lots of guys and see who wants it more.
Yeah.
I love that.
And they're all young too. It's not like they're like
right. And we've
on the wrong side of 30 and
the problem, Fetty is a great, I don't know if he's even worth a talking point on our podcast.
He's not for me. He can go.
But I'll say this, the fact that he made it this long just shows how good his talent is, because he was a dipshit from the beginning.
Yeah.
He was the one that was getting in fights, if you remember back when we had LOB and those guys. If Eddie was the one getting in fights with those guys.
Yeah.
But there's something there. It's a shame that we might lose that.
Yeah, and Brandon Shell.
I still hope we get him for a discount.
Yeah.
To go to your point one more time, Sean, I want to reiterate this because it's important. You're right. The Seahawks are great at just letting go, bringing in guys, and competing.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Brandon Shell is the guy that they picked up, and it should be just slide in right in at the right tackle position for Fetty. Played for the Jets last year. He's been starting for a whole year. He started last year.
Oh, that's so promising.
I know.
It's so funny. Like, let's add some commentary on that. Like, truly. So we're effing Russell again.
Yeah.
We're effing him again. Now, there's DeAndre Hopkins. I know we don't need a wide receiver because we have DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, but DeAndre Hopkins was out there for a 4th-round pick and $13 million a year for who I think is the best wide receiver in the game. And I'm a fantasy player. Used to be. He'd be my first guy. He's the Calvin Johnson. He's the Andre Johnson. He's that guy. And like, what in the F? Like, just why are we paying that when you can go out and just get DeAndre? Now, I know, like I said, I know we don't. But when we went to a Super Bowl, remember how important Bobby Ingram was as our third receiver? He was our third receiver.
In 2005,
In 2005. Like, if we were to have, DK, Tyler be that third, and put DeAndre out there for a 4th-round pick and $13 million, I think it's better than whatever you're signing 2 linemen for, defensive linemen and linemen.
Well, I mean, this brings up a whole –
or Jadeveon Clowney.
Well, it's like Hopkins.
That trade was crazy.
The trade for Hopkins is nuts, but we'll talk about that next week a little bit more. And but Diggs, he was available, and I know that the Bills gave up a lot, but he's another guy that I was like, dude, he'd fit in perfectly.
Here's what's crazy, Sean. For the first time in our lives since we've been doing this podcast, literally, this is the first time we have not needed a wide receiver for the Seahawks. Yeah. Every year we have talked. Go listen to every Sweeney and podcast. What do we need? A wide receiver.
Get rid of Curse.
A big play. Get rid of Curse. Get rid of whoever. Name them.
Yeah.
And we were so critical, and finally we have DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. Yeah. But value, 4th-round pick.
Well,
Hopkins, $13 million. That's nothing. Now he's saying now that he might hold out for 18. So that makes it a little more.
I didn't want to talk about him because it's just a whole other bag of worms.
Right. And for the first time ever, we don't need a wide receiver. That's what's so funny. So we'll let it go.
So we brought Bruce. Well, allegedly we're bringing Bruce Irvin back, and then we signed. This has been the biggest thing is Jaron Reed, 2 years, $23 million, and I think pretty much it's 18, like 18 of it is like guaranteed. So he's going to be here for the next 2 years, which I love. I can't believe, honestly, he signed a contract that low, because
that early,
because I know maybe it's a little bit of the Hawks did stick.
He's disappointed a bit though.
Other than beating his girlfriend and missing 16.
Well, but also, but performance-wise, he was getting sacks a little bit early on, putting pressure on. Now he's become. I equate him almost, which was a great player for us, and sad when we lost him. But Brandon Mebane, he's a big body.
Bring him back.
He's a big body and a run stopper. And Claude's Lane, he's not. Like after the rookie year, we're like, damn, we're going to lose this guy because he was so good. Yeah. And then what happened, whatever, and he came back and did a good job. But he is not.
But Justin, Brandon Mebane was like, obviously he'll never get the credit like down the road. But you know how
Jaron Reed will be that.
Yeah, but he was so important to winning our Super Bowl.
He was, but that's not him anymore.
Yeah. No, I'm talking about. But if Reed turns into Mebane, it's like you got to have players like Mebane.
That's what I think he is. Yeah.
And like KJ Wright, that 20 years down the road, nobody's going to be talking about these guys, but they were like critical to us winning the Super Bowl. And that's where I think Jaron Reed is like we get him, we get Clowney, and we got to re-sign Clowney, which at this point
we don't even need to with Bruce Irvin now.
Shut the hell up. But anyway, okay.
No, I'm serious.
Shut up, Justin.
What do you want? Okay. Let me ask you this then, Sean. No, let's have it. Let's have it. This is what the podcast is all about.
Okay.
What are you signing Jadeveon Clowney for? I have a number in my mind.
So I would think now that he like hasn't got signed, and
they have an offer to him apparently.
Do you know what it is? Because
I don't know what it is, but apparently it's the best offer he has right now.
So Eric Armstead for the 49ers, he signed basically 5 years, $85 million, but 50 of it's guaranteed. So if that guy's getting that, I would think bare minimum he's probably getting 60 million guaranteed, and 5 at 100 is probably what he wants, don't you think?
Well, he said he wants 20, but that's not the market.
20 a year? Well, let's talk about
20 a year.
Money.
20 a year.
Yeah, that's
what I want.
At 5 at 20 is 100, and probably 60 guaranteed, I think is what he wants.
Right, guaranteed. Yeah.
And I think honestly,
he's not getting that. What would you offer him?
I would offer him. Well, if this Armstead guy I'd go 5 at 90 and probably go 52 million guaranteed, and I think he'd get it done.
I'd go 3 at 45 and you guarantee 30.
Okay. Well, he's obviously not going to sign that, but I think.
Well, we'll see. But that's what I would do. I don't want him for more. I don't want him for more than that.
I mean,
I think he's worth 15. I think he's worth 15 mil a year. Yeah, but dude, we now have another. Bringing in Bruce Irvin is huge.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
He's an edge rusher, and he's
good, but it's just. So we talked about Clowney. We talked about where would you set the odds of him resigning with the Seahawks?
Of who?
With Clowney signing with the Seahawks.
60%.
Yeah, I probably honestly before the free agency happened, I would say it was like 20-30%. I just thought somebody was going to come in with big money, and
he liked us. He
did. Now that it's been so long, and then we kind of have this Armstead contract gives us a baseline of what you kind of expect for that. And I would say, 60-70% is, I think it's pretty looking better and better, which the longer it goes, the better, in my opinion. I don't know what you think about that.
The longer the better, which is great. And here's the other thing too. He likes it here and has been vocal about that.
Yeah.
When he likes it here and it goes longer, that's better. because then if it's down to $1 million or $2 million difference, and Schneider, he stays very solid on his offers, which I love. That's if I was him, I'd be offering him 15 mil. 15 mil.
I was gonna give him a little bit more,
three-year deal. Well, I understand that. I don't care. That's my offer. Fine, great. That's my offer.
He might get 3 at 60 if like 55 of it's guaranteed.
Great. I don't think he gets that.
Yeah, we'll see.
But we'll see. This is why it's our podcast. Yeah. I would offer him 15 mil.
Yeah.
A year for 3, 45, 30 guaranteed.
He's not going to sign that. But anyway,
Sean, he might be forced to. Well, I don't know. I'm just saying.
Definitely not going to get lower than this Armstead contract.
Hey, like I said, I have 2.5-year-old twins. I don't know what's going on. I should have prefaced the whole podcast with this.
Zero prep. That's what we do.
Zero prep. Zero prep. But that's the best. I'll be honest. What I understand and what I would pay him.
Yeah. Well, okay. So let's go to I'm going to go through some of these free agents that were. Amari Cooper signed with Cowboys. Gave him a lot of money. Crazy. Tannehill was the one that's crazy that they gave him.
Who signed Tannehill?
The Titans re-signed him. So 4 years, $118 million. This is the sad part. He got $62 million fully guaranteed. They're not gonna pay. They're gonna franchise Derrick Henry, who basically
led the league in rushing and
Well, they're gonna basically not pay Henry. Can you imagine giving a quarterback $60 million guaranteed? You're probably not going to give Henry $30 million guaranteed on his contract. You're going to fight it because it's like that's not the market. But you're like Henry made literally $60 million for Tannehill.
Right. But how about this with Tannehill? What's amazing is it's actually not that much. When you go back, we were talking earlier off camera about Brock Osweiler. Brock Osweiler was guaranteed $82 million.
Yeah, exactly. It's
and the quarterback. We're talking about quarterbacks these days. Now, let me preface this by saying, Ryan Tannehill is terrible. I wouldn't sign. I just wouldn't sign him. I wouldn't sign him. I would have been a big Marcus Mariota guy.
You love him? Well, the Raiders love him, so.
Well, God willing.
He's playing. No, they signed him. Justin, you really got to do
No, I know that, but I mean, God willing, it works out for them.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, I'm a more of a Marcus
move
fan.
on from Tannehill.
Oh, that's hashtag no podcast has ever said.
Yeah. And then let's see.
Move on from Tannehill.
Byron Jones, a bunch of defenders. Drew Brees resigned. Corey Littleton. That's the other one we can talk about, how the Rams kind of seem to be dismantling now. And that'll kind of bring me up to they've lost basically 3 key players on their defense. They lost Gurley. They did re-sign Witten, but they lost Fowler, Littleton, Weddle's not coming back, and somebody else. Their cornerbacks. They lost one of their cornerbacks. Crazy. But go ahead.
They made the right move. For one, signing Whitworth was the big deal.
Yeah, which is wild. He got a ton of money too.
Man, it was wild when he came from Cincinnati.
Yeah, he's a good player.
He's a good player and a good guy. He wanted to stay in Cincinnati, which was a SHIT franchise.
Yeah, no kidding.
And came over, and it hurt his heart to come over. And they thought that 3-year deal would be his last. So I think it's huge to keep him. I think with Gurley and those guys, I'm as big a fan as Todd Gurley as anybody you'll find. I mean, I'm a huge fan. But it's the right move for them. And they're smart. They're taking the seat. You know what they're going to do with all those millions? They're going to go find the Cam Chancellors and the Shaquille Griffins and the Tedrick Thompsons.
Well, they have to because they literally have no draft picks.
But they have lots of money.
But still, I mean, they have a lot of money, but they don't have cap room because
you know how good
they got to pay Woods. They got to draft. They have.
They shouldn't pay Woods.
Well, and then they're going to sign Cup, and they're going to.
You should pay Cup,
but you're going to lose him. I mean, you got to pay.
They missed the boat.
Jalen Ramsey next year.
They missed the boat. That was
Yeah,
That was a
it's
dumb
gone.
trade for them. Yeah, they missed the boat.
But
And
before,
they banked that Ramsey trade is the absolute cherry on top to what they.
yeah.
And by the way, for their fans, that was great. You go out, you try and win a Super Bowl. It didn't work.
Well, and
But now
were awesome, but
yeah,
they didn't get it done. Yeah,
yeah, they
you're
didn't get
gone,
it
and
done.
they're screwed. But anyway,
They're screwed.
before we move on, I need to ask you this because what's wild is the three teams in the running that people are getting talked about with Gurley are Atlanta, which I'd be blown away. The Dolphins, which makes a lot of sense, and the Seahawks. Apparently, Pete loves Gurley. And
Are you serious? Don't tease me. Don't tease me.
I don't understand, but that was the report.
Why? I understand. I thought that, and I'm like, well, we have Chris Carson or whatever, but who cares? It's Todd Gurley. You bring him in. That's what you do. He's a great player. He's cheap as hell.
Yeah, so
Abso-fucking-lutely.
So here's the Ian Rappaport put this out for former Rams Todd Gurley, who now aims to prove what he's got. He has Falcons, Bucks, Miami, and the Seahawks. And the other thing too,
we work out everybody.
Yeah, but it's gonna come into one of those deals where he's making a lot of money from the Rams this year. So could Gurley go to a play like a winner like the Patriots? The Bucks makes a lot of sense for like a 1 year really cheap deal.
He won't do that. He won't do that. You know why? You know why, Sean?
Why?
Or here's my. I don't know. I'm not speaking.
Good. Good reasoning.
He's 25 years old. He doesn't care. He doesn't care about winning a championship yet. He wants to make money before his knee and his ankle goes out. He's already.
He had a ton of money from his last contract.
Not a ton NFL wise.
Well, for running back, it's good.
Right.
But okay.
But this was supposed to be his big deal. This guy was the best offensive player outside of a quarterback 3 years ago.
Oh, I still think he's really good. I think it was for whatever reason.
He's 3.2 yards a carry last year. He's
Gurley cheated on or had sex with McVay's wife or girlfriend because he was.
That's news broken today.
Yeah, I know
Sweeney and Ko.
A huge fantasy player, and Gurley. You watch him like, dude, he could be the best player in fantasy, best player in football, and it looks like Sean McVay's like consciously not giving him the ball.
There's a reason for that. Do you think Sean McVay? Well, because he thinks the guy getting the ball, aside from Todd Gurley, will do a better job. Sean McVay wants to keep his job. He wants to win a Super Bowl. He wants to get a first down. He's putting the guy in that he thinks is best to get there.
Yeah.
Sean McVay, all we know is Todd Gurley, the name. There's a reason Sean McVay hasn't been playing this guy for a year and a half.
I don't know, man. They were the best team in the NFL 2 years ago.
But they didn't play Todd Gurley in the Super Bowl.
But yeah, that's my point. He says he was healthy. That was the rumor that.
He's not.
But they're running. Who's that fat guy that they played in the NFC Championship?
Darrell Henderson.
No, the running back. No, you're even worse in the names than I am.
No, Darrell Henderson was there.
C.J. Anderson, the guy from Denver. And and he's so fat in the Super Bowl and the NFC Championship game, and you're just like, Gurley was healthy the whole time. They never gave it to him.
But
anyway, we'll move on.
But C.J. Anderson was running for 100+ yards for weeks, and Todd Gurley could barely get a first down
because they weren't playing Gurley. Anyway, we're moving on from Gurley. I don't care.
I want Gurley. I want Gurley. I hope he does.
It'd be awesome.
So then who are you cutting, Sean?
Oh man, I don't know. Well, first of all,
Let me ask you this.
We don't pay Penny or
let me ask you this.
Carson any money.
Hey, let me ask you this. This is what podcasts are for. Would you rather forget salary, forget anything? If everybody's you want no, I'm not going to say everybody's healthy. Do you want Chris Carson behind center tomorrow or next year, or Todd Gurley, or somebody else?
Honestly, keeping everything equal, I would rather have a healthy Rashad Penny and Chris Carson. I think those guys are great. I think I'm in the minority when I say this, that I think Penny's actually way better, and I'm really excited to watch him and kind of hope he becomes.
Than Chris Carson?
Yeah, I mean, I think Chris Carson's had his chance, and like,
holy shit, yeah, no, okay, go ahead.
but I just think he wears himself out. He's going to continue to mourn. And like next season, one of the biggest storylines I think is that I'm going to be excited watching is Penny becoming the number one running back. But anyway, that's who I'd rather have.
I love it. He wears himself out because he runs so hard. That I hate Chris Carson because he gets first downs. He's wearing himself out.
I don't hate him. I
Guess
love
what?
Chris Carson.
You can cut him when he wears himself out. Chris Carson. I listen. I am a huge Chris Carson fan.
Big guy. No bigger than Justin.
There's very few Seahawks players that put in the effort that Chris Carson does on every play that I have seen. I'm a huge
awesome.
Chris Carson fan. So I'm with that. But
so what? Do you answer the question? Gurley or those
Chris
guys?
Carson. Chris Carson. Well,
Okay.
Chris Carson over all of them.
Yeah.
If I could take Gurley over Penny, I would do that.
Yeah. Well, you're not even factoring in the money too. Like Gurley's
Carson, they couldn't trade him for anything. So.
Carson, there's no advantage to cutting him or trading him because he's not making any money. The only advantage would be trading him because he doesn't make any money this year, and maybe you could get a second or fourth round pick for him for next year. But it just doesn't make any sense.
He was. Well, I'll just say this objectively or whatever. Chris Carson was my favorite Seahawk last year. And maybe has been.
Over Jacob Hollister? Okay.
No, I don't like Jacob Hollister.
Everybody knows your favorite Seahawks player was
Tedrick
Thompson. Mr. Can't cover anything.
No, I don't like Tedrick Thompson. Hey, I've evolved, Sean.
You've evolved. Okay, so the last thing I want to be before we stopped and we got out of here.
What a shame.
A lot of things going to happen. And the thing with Clowney, it's like you would think this deal's going to be getting done because he can't be one of those guys that waits till after the draft. Because say like the Seahawks, for instance, we don't sign him, but we're like, oh, let's go into the draft, and we draft a really good defensive end that we think we could plug in right away. We're not going to go out and sign Clowney. And that probably applies to a handful of other teams that are looking at Clowney. So you're just kind of like, Clowney, you would think you would sign his deal shortly. So I don't know.
I'm with you. It's either it happens shortly, or you do wait and you hope. But that's one of those, and you know this as well as anybody. You're then banking on the two teams, whichever they are, that didn't get the edge rusher in the draft that they wanted.
Yeah, which we always seem to be that guy.
And that never works out well for the player.
Yeah.
So I think with Clowney, I think that, and I'm very happy about this. I think he had a great time here. The market isn't panning out how he wanted. Mm-hmm. And I think even if somebody offers him, say, $2 million more a year, I don't think he's going to get the 20. I think somebody will offer him 18, and we're probably offering him 16 and probably 1 year less. But something's also attractive to a player that as young as Clowney is, I know late 20s, or what is he, 29 or something? If you have a
28, 29 sounds right. Yeah.
If you have a 2-year deal, and we're good at this with the Seahawks where we can load up low-end deals because we know we have the cap.
Yeah.
And if you do great, we know you're going to lose you. But if you don't, we get a good value.
Who cares? Yeah. No.
So I think it will end up being something like that where we get him for another year or two, like it's a 1-year deal or 2.
Yeah.
And then he goes out and gets paid again later. But he enjoys it here, it seems like. And I'll tell you what, I would be very excited if we get Clowney. And by the way, I want him. I want to make that clear.
Very clear. We both want him.
Yeah, and I don't want to pay him $20 million a year, but I'd pay him 16.
Yeah.
And if you have Bruce Irvin and Clowney rushing the quarterback and Jaron Reed keeping him, I'm stoked about that.
I am too.
And we were in a rebuilding year too. It's kind of like the Zags. It was supposed to be a rebuilding year for both, and they overachieved. Great.
Always back to the Zags, but let's finish this up because
or the Cougs. The Cougs. We didn't even expect.
Cougs are always back. Anyway, we have the 27th pick, so we have a late first round pick, which we will unquestionably trade for the second pick in the second round, and we'll get a sixth round pick.
I hope so.
But we have the 59th pick, so it's like 26 or 7th in the second round, and then the 64th we have the Chiefs pick from the Frank Clark. So we've got three picks in the first, I guess, 2 rounds, which is awesome. We don't have a third round pick because the thing says the Raiders, but I know it's for the Clowney deal, so I don't know if the
Raiders traded
or something, but it says NFL.com says it's the Raiders. We got it from the Raiders took our pick, which I can't remember us trading for a play. Oh, no, it couldn't have been Jacob Hollister.
Where are we at on time, by the way?
I don't know. Who cares?
Because we didn't talk about Mike Leach. I mean, my God.
No, we're talking about
it. Should have been the first topic. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway.
Gosh, that's a shame.
So, and then
America is going to have to wait another week.
They'll wait. I mean, nobody's going anywhere.
Well, they have this. They have This Is Us and whatever, and I don't know. It's my wife watches.
Anyway, we've probably been on for a little bit over an hour, but so okay, let's just wrap it up with this. So, first round pick, what do you hope that they go after? You don't need a guy. Just give me a position you really like.
You know me. I'll defer to what I always say. I'm a best available player, even if it's a guy that we are loaded on. Draft the best available player. I'm all about talent. And then I'll preface, my other draft strategy and free agent strategy. I like guys with character issues that have a high upside.
Yeah.
Roll the dice, especially if you're a good team. Roll the dice.
Yeah. No. So most sites say
within reason. I should say.
Most sites have us going edge rusher, cornerback, and O-line. It's kind of the same story.
That's
with
so
us
funny.
Every years.
For the last 15 years.
Yeah. So I would really, really like them to go in the secondary, whether it's a cornerback or a safety. I just feel like we need to kind of, look in that. But the problem is this year's draft, there's a lot of like DN and D edge rusher talent that in the first round talent. So I think there's going to be a lot of talented guys.
The pertinent question is, what do we need? And you nailed it. We need a corner. We need a cornerback. We need it, and not a DB. We need a cornerback.
Exactly.
Like I think we're fine at safety and free safety enough. We need a cornerback. I think you're right on. You hit the nail on the head. We need a good cover corner in this draft.
No, I agree. It'd be interesting. It would be just nice. Like I love Shaq. I actually like Flowers a lot.
I like Trey Flowers a lot. I was about to say. I'd love for him to be the Walter Thurmond of 5 years ago. You have a great starting corner at nickel because we play the nickel so much.
No, I agree. Well, and it's like Flowers gets like a lot of criticism. I mean, rightly so. He looked bad in some and he got absolutely torched by Devontae Adams in the playoff game. But it's like people kind of forget how Brandon Browner was like awesome and awesome part of the LOB.
Brandon Browner was why Walter Thurmond was a nickelback.
Yeah,
and would have been a starting corner anywhere else.
Yeah, but Browner got so many defensive holding penalties.
Oh, he led cornerbacks in defensive pass interference by like 15. It was insane.
Yeah, and but
it was worth it.
My point is like people kind of forget that when you have a good player in that shutdown corner role like Sherm and now Shaquille are, it's like, the opposite side corner is just going to get thrown out a lot more and get exposed. And I think Flowers is really good, but would I be disappointed if he draft like one of these top line cornerbacks? No, I wouldn't. But I still think Flowers pretty good.
You know what then, Sean? Just talking about this makes me change my opinion. The reason those corners were so good is because I believe,
Yeah.
and
I know what you're gonna say.
Earl Thomas was back there playing center field.
Yeah. I mean, that makes
So nobody had to worry about anything except locking down your guy. And I'll say this: of the Legion of Boom, Cam is my favorite, and I love
mine
and
too.
I and
Sherman.
I love Sherm. But the best player, like when you look at it and when they go to all-time greats and whatever, the top 3 safeties of all time will be Earl Thomas, Ronnie Lott, and Troy Polamalu.
And Sean Taylor, R.I.P.
Sean Taylor is – I don't think he was as good as those guys, but I'll say
we
this.
never know.
But I'll say this. Sean Taylor was my favorite safety of all time before Earl Thomas came along.
Yeah.
And Sean Taylor, even part of the reason Sean is named my son Sean. I love Sean Taylor. But Earl Thomas is why all those guys. Earl Thomas is the best.
Yeah, no.
And these guys, Shaq Griffin doesn't have that.
Yeah. So do you know who Isaiah Simmons is? You don't know that much about college football, right?
No, I don't watch college football.
Anyway, that was going to be my one question because Isaiah Simmons, he's probably most famous, or what he's known for is he's the best player, I would say, on the Clemson's defense, but he lined up at like safety, linebacker, edge rusher. He reminds me the closest thing to Cam that I could remember.
That's a Seahawks type of guy.
Well,
you could play.
Yeah, he's gonna go really high, like because he's probably perfect for like a 3-4 linebacker, like a blitz guy, like just a downhill. But he's super talented. He could play like that nickel safety that like the Honey Badger is kind of running now. That you see him kind of just move around and guard and do stuff But anyway, my question was, he's him and then Chase Young, who's probably going to be first or second in the NFL draft, which is the awesome defensive end out of Oregon or out of Ohio State. Sorry,
they're all awesome.
It's like, drafted. do you think we should empty the clip and just try to go after one of these guys? No, you don't want to do it.
No. There's one guy I ever wanted to do that for.
Who?
One was
Aaron Curry.
One was Sean Taylor. No, because we had the Aaron Curry pick. I wanted to trade up for Derek Johnson. I don't know. It was 10 years ago.
The linebacker, yeah.
And there was circumstances that was kind of making that possible.
Yeah.
And I really wanted him, and we didn't. But
that's the story of the Seahawks draft.
Every year I become more and more an advocate of trading down for guys that are cheaper, finding who wants it. I mean, that's what's worked for us. Our best players have not been the first-round guys. And I was a big Aaron Curry guy, speaking of Aaron Curry. I was like,
I remember when he drafted him.
He's the best of the four. He's the best of the four. Who were the ones before him, though? It was Sanchez. Mark Sanchez.
Oh, you're talking about in the draft. I thought you were talking about the Seahawks before. Let me see.
Sanchez.
Yeah, it was a terrible draft.
So we whiffed. There was a number 2 offensive lineman.
I'll look it up.
He was all right.
The Brickshaw Ferguson, I know, is the.
Yeah, that's the guy.
Here we go. So Matt Stafford.
Yeah, Stafford. We didn't.
That's not that bad.
But we didn't need a quarterback.
Jason Smith was the tackle you're talking about.
To the Eagles?
It says the Rams.
Right. Yeah.
Tyson Jackson, LSU to Kansas City Chiefs. Never even heard of this guy.
Right. And then Curry,
Sanchez, Andre Smith went to and he always was the guy that he always gets in trouble with being too overweight.
Yeah. We get screwed after, but when people dogged Aaron Curry pick, I was like, hey, the people before him weren't that bad.
Yeah, so the draft, the later rounds.
Yeah, there's some.
Clay Matthews is good. Vontae Davis, Percy Harvin, Alex Mack, Jeremy Maclin,
Percy Harvin, easy. No, I'm just kidding.
Malcolm Jenkins, Crabtree. A lot of these guys you've heard of and actually pretty decent. Anyway, but yeah, you were spot on. The top end of that draft was god awful.
It was.
Anyway, all right.
Yeah.
So we'll wrap this up. Okay, so kind of just a little bit of details, and we were talking about if this works out, it just was going to be a lot easier for us. We're not really into making money. We just talking, shooting the shit, making guys laugh. That's like kind of what we're just trying to do.
We're bored and haven't done it in 6 years.
If you guys don't know, like when it's on Apple Podcasts, you have to load it to Apple Podcasts. You got to go to Stitcher. You got to load it up to all of them. And there are some sites that you can back in. It's just too much. I didn't want to deal with it. So my thinking is I'm just going to load these up with YouTube. They really don't care. You guys can download them. You can stream them, watch it, listen. Hopefully it works out. That's the plan. We're going to, hopefully this works, record this, get it up, and then start making them, I guess, whenever we can. Justin, would you not agree if this works out, this is a lot easier, really a lot of editing, nothing.
Oh, it's way easier. Unfortunately, they have to see us, but we can always put it.
I think we could just turn the video off. I think people like to see. I think it'd
be funnier if we just put a paper bag over our head.
But Justin's got the cool swag in the back.
I got kicked downstairs. I got nothing down here.
I would kick your ass down there.
It is what it is. I got a slide here.
I got a lot of that.
Look at the whole effing thing's just a disaster.
But we just kind of painted all the new walls and stuff, and so I got to get all my stuff hanging. But anyway,
it's all just we're two great friends that started doing this 10 years ago almost, and
it's crazy.
It's fun for us, and people used to enjoy it back in the day, and I hope we can do it. I hope we can do it again. Yeah.
Exactly. All right, guys, that'll be done, and look forward to hearing more. All right.
Good to see you, Sean.
You too. Bye. All right, we got that stopped, and let me see real quick. I'm sure we didn't record. Can you hear me?
Just playing.
Oh God, they did a really good job.
Wasn't that great? How money was that? I was looking at myself on the camera. I'm like, this is money.
I was freaking out. I was like, dude, how is this fucking possible?
That's pretty good. Hey, that was fun, man.
Yeah. It looks like I'm going to hang this up in this, and then I will call you back. I'll call you in a second.
Cool. Hey, that was fun, man. Thanks.
Yeah. All
right. Hey, fun for me. I don't care who watches it, dude. It's fun to do.
I hope it works out. All right, man. I'll talk to you.